All right, we're in all things circular right now. And yesterday we started with circumference and started talking about that relationship, that value, that what does that mean? It means the perimeter of something circular. So what I want you to do is make sure you've got your book open to page 268. You're going to check what you've got, do some correcting as you go, make sure you're showing work as you go, and we'll talk a lot about when should I use 3.14, when should I use 22/7, and when should I leave the pi symbol as pi, basically. So notice on this first one, they give you the equation for circumference, pi times diameter. And in fact, in Minnesota, on your formula sheet in 7th grade, when you take the Minnesota assessments, this is the way they'll write circumference, pi times diameter. So I look at this one and I say, well, hot diggity, 9 inches is my diameter. So I'm going to take pi, which this one they don't specify, so you could use 3.14. You could use 22/7. I'm going to use the decimal this time and multiply by 9. Now, in the olden days, like when I was in 7th grade, we would have to do all this by hand, which made it a really stinky deal. You have access to a calculator to make it faster for you. But keep in mind, I want you to think of this. This is close to 3. It's a little more than 3. So when I multiply 9 times 3, 9 times 3 is 27. I should get just a little more than 27. Here's what my calculator gave me. Yes, that makes sense. So always talk in your head before you press those buttons to say, oh, it should be about this. Okay? All right, let's look at number 2. Oh, now you see this time they're saying, hey, you can also think of it as 2 times pi times r, or in other words, 2 radii, that's a diameter. Personally, I just like to think pi times diameter. And if they're giving me the radius of 7, I'm just going to say, hey, the diameter would be double that, 14. That's where the 2 and the r come from. So really, you just have to take pi times 14. Now, the way they've stepped this one out, they want you to put a 7 there. 2 times pi, and this time they're using 22/7 times the radius. Personally, I just rather have you take 22/7 times the whole diameter of 14. Okay? That's the way I would do it. And the reason they had you use this approximation for pi instead of the decimal is because 7 is a factor of 14. So I don't even need a stinking calculator. Get 44. Cool. All right, let's keep pressing on here. Find the circumference. Use either the decimal or the approximation here. And frankly, as I look at each of these, and what you have for the diameter, none of these are divisible by 7. So personally, I would use the decimal approximation every single time. Okay. It does give us specifications about rounding to the hundredths. All right. I'm going to rewrite the formula here every single time. Circumference is pi times diameter. Because if you keep saying it, it's just going to become automatic in your head. So this one, we're going to have to take pi times 25. And I'm going to go squiggly equal sign now because I'm going to take the approximation for pi, where I round it off, times 25. All right, 3 times 25, think money. 3/4 is 75 cents. So when you multiply this thing, I want you to be thinking, oh yeah, it should be a little more than 75 cents. Here, oh, come on. This stylus of mine is making me kind of crazy. All right, so on this one, you should get 78.5 or 78 5/10. Okay. There is no hundredths place. If necessary, we would have to chop it off and round to the hundredths place. Please put a label here, 78.5 meters. Okay. Number 4. Please think of this formula, pi times diameter. You don't have the diameter. You have the radius. So get the diameter. The diameter is double that, 9 6/10. Now you're going to take 3.14 times 9.6. Now hold on. 3 times 9 is 27, although this is that 9.6, that's getting close to 10. So 3 times 10. So somewhere between 27 and 30 probably is going to be your answer. So when you go on your calculator and plug this in, if you, like me, either go quickly or you have fat fingers and you're going quickly and you get an answer that looks way off, that's why we estimate ahead of time. Now on my calculator, okay, I'm getting around 30. That's good. My calculator said 30.144. If I'm rounding to the hundredths, I'm going to stop at the hundredths place. Since my calculator had a 4 after in the thousandths place, we're just going to truncate it or chop it off. My label is yards. Last one, 7.5. That's your radius. Circumference is pi times diameter. That means we got to go all the way across. You have to double 7.5. That means pi times 15. 3 times 15 is 45. So I know this is going to be probably in the upper 40s somewhere, okay? So do 3.14 times 15. You get 47 1/10. 47 1/10 inches. Please make sure you label it because really this is a distance. Number 6. They're stepping this one out for you as a word problem. A round swimming pool has a circumference of 66 feet. Stop. Okay, you already have the end result. They're probably going to ask us to go backwards and go from here. Carlos wants to buy a rope to put across the diameter of the pool. Okay, I got to draw a picture here. Okay, here's the center. So going once around here is 66 feet. And we want to figure out how long I've got to get rope going across there. The rope is 45 cents per foot, and he needs 4 feet more than the diameter of the pool, probably to tie it off or something. So how much does he have to pay? All right, so let's work backwards. The circumference is 66. 66 equals the pi times diameter. They're using this decimal. So in order to figure out diameter, here's what they do next. Divide by 3.14. Okay, so grab your calculator. We have to take 66 and divide it by about 3. Now, if it was just 3, that'd give me 22. I'm dividing by a little bit more, so you should get something less than 22. And this is about, wow, look at that on your calculator, 21 point. All right, well, we've been rounding stuff to the hundredths place. I don't know. You know, this is the diameter and we're talking feet. It's a little more than 21 feet, 21.019, blah, blah, blah. I guess I'll round that to the hundredths place. Okay. So it's about that. So he needs 21.02 feet of rope just to get here. And then remember, it said plus he needs 4 more than the diameter. So he's going to need, here, add 4. So he needs a little bit more than 25 feet. Okay, so now take that times that 45 cents a foot. Okay, so I'm going to use 25.02 times 45 cents. Now, before you even do that, that's almost close to 50 cents, which is half a dollar. So half of 25 is about 12 something, 12 and a half. Here, I get 11.259. I'm going to round that to 26 because it's money and it would make sense to put that to the hundredths place. So there you go. Okay, cool. All right, let's bring it on home and look at the rest of these. Look at what they tell you. They just say circumference is pi yards. Huh? If the circumference equals pi That's 3.14159. What's your diameter? If once around the circle is exactly pi, hold on, C equals pi times diameter. If I just have pi there, then my diameter must be the number 1. 1 yard, which means your radius, remember diameter is all the way across, radius is half as much. Oops. If you're a decimal person, you'd write it this way. If you're a fraction person, you'd write it this way. There we go. All right, same thing now. Circumference is 78 8/10 feet. Remember that circumference is pi times diameter. So we need to take 78.8, and to figure out diameter or work backwards, you need to divide by pi. I'm going to tell you, even though your calculator has a pi button, will you do this? Just take 78.8. Divide it by the decimal approximation, which is 3.14. That way we're consistent. And I get about 25 point. Now look at that, 0.95. This is what you get on the calculator, 25.09554, blah, 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 blah. If I want to round here, you got to decide, stay at 9 or go up to 10. Since that's a 5 next door, round up. Feet. Now take this value and divide by 2 because it's always half. 12 55/100 feet. Okay, last but not least, this time you're given diameter. So take diameter times pi. So you have to take 3.14 times 3.4. That's kind of funny. So here on your calculator, plug this in. I know 3 times 3 is 9, and this is a little more and more, so I should be closer to 10, maybe even pushing close to 11. 10.676. We're supposed to round that. 10.68. We are in inches. Label it. Half of this for the radius is 1 7/10 inches. Okay. Last but not least, 10. Nora knows the diameter of a circle. How would you tell her to find the circumference? I don't want the answer. I want you to tell Nora what to do. Nora, you silly girl. No. Nora should multiply (13) by pi, or in other words, 3.14. She'll get an answer. Now, in my head, 13 times 3 is 39. So you can tell her, your answer will be, between 39 and up to, maybe a little more than that, somewhere in that ballpark. And make sure you label it. All right, there you go. I want you to start moving on to the next page. All right, so we're just going to keep plowing along here and go from here. On these next pages, what I want you to do is take a look at 11, 12, 13. Number 14, you can kind of take a look at that and see when is a good time to use the fraction instead of 3.14. 15, 16, and 17 don't have a picture. I would recommend, if you want a picture, by all means draw it so you can label the information you need. Okay? As I look here, yep, 18, 19, 20. I think these all look like great problems. So what I want you to do is do this next page, 11 through 21, and then make sure you are labeling every single answer and showing me some work. If you need an extra piece of paper, go ahead. But up at the top here, pi times diameter. Good luck, and may the force be with you.